Hi there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Tuesday Brewsday. So I thought I would give an Elemental Tribal deck a run to see how well it functions. I've been playing this deck quite a bit. I still need to fine-tune this, of course. It has some decent matchups versus many of the sacrifice-based decks, but it does struggle versus the Jeskai Fires lists, and other mid-range based decks can go over the top of it. But again, having a lot of fun with this one. This is trying to make the Kaheera, the Orphanguard, work in this deck. It is going to be a traditional Elementals deck that would usually curve out with something like Agent of Treachery, or would curve out into the End-Raze Forerunners, but you can't run a companion card and actually that has to require those particular creature types. The Kaheera, the Orphanguard, does allow you to have elementals and nightmares, dinosaurs, and beasts. However, both the Agent of Treachery and the End-Raze do not end up having those creature types. So this is my first iteration of kind of an elemental tribal. The focus card is going to be this Parcelbeast. This is the card that I'm trying to make work. So Parcelbeast caught my eye because it does have one of the best mutate costs in the new set, which is to mutate 2, and it allows you for 1 and tap to look at the top card of your library if it's a land card to be put on the battlefield, and if you don't, you put it in your hand. So it's a pretty powerful ability. It can get around the summoning sickness if you do attach it to an Arboreal Grazer. So on turn number 2, you actually can mutate onto an Arboreal Grazer and then actually activate its ability. So that's a pretty neat little interaction. Got that off plenty of times. We're also running another 1-drop with the form of Healer of the Glade to try to get that little combo going with the Parcelbeast. I don't know if this card actually wants to be in here as a full 4 of, but since it is the card we're trying to showcase, that's why I've decided to put it as a 4 of. The other cards in this deck are very similar to other elemental deck lists with the Leafkin Druid and the Risen Reef. Both of these are going to be really powerful with then getting multiple elementals out and then ramping, and eventually you're going to ramp into something like a Finale of Devastation, and at that point, Finale of Devastation will kind of be like a pseudo End-Raze Forerunner. You're going to bring in a card that has haste, and there is 1 trampler that you can get out of your main deck, and it will give that plus X and trample, and hopefully between that and like the Arboreal Grazers and the healers that are already out, that's going to be lethal enough, and that's usually what I've seen with this deck. The Kaheera, the Orphanguard, is also kind of neat with elementals with something like the Arboreal Grazer or the Healer of the Glade, because it does make them have a bit more punch to them, with being the Arboreal Grazer being a 1/4 and then the Healer of the Glade being a 2/3. The only problem I have with the Kaheera, the Orphanguard, is that it doesn't protect you against Deafening Clarion. If you have this out, your Grazers will still die, and then most of your other creatures will still die after the Kaheera, the Orphanguard, dies from the Deafening Clarion. A few of the other cards in this, of course, we have a Jellyfish Hydrobeast that is a beast for Kaheera. So the Hydroid Krasis still works as a payoff to put in a bunch of mana into, and then we are going to be running the Cavalier of Thorns. Speaking of a cool elemental card, the Brokkos Apex of Forever. This is an interesting card because it almost feels like Rancor in this deck, as all of your Arboreal Grazers and Healer of the Glades, and even Leafkin Druids late game, can be mutated onto and at least have a 6/6 trample threat. I have won some games by being able to grind out with the Brokkos Apex of Forever. It might be interesting to actually build an entire deck that's just dedicated around Brokkos Apex of Forever, like cards like Arboreal Grazers and Tameo and Euros, and then utilizing your graveyard like self-mill strategy, and then having access to this mutate card that can turn all of your weak creatures into large creatures. And there's also this neat little interaction with Brokkos and Hydroid Krasis, because you just put Brokkos over the top of Hydroid Krasis, and all the +1 counters still remain, and then it ends up being a big flying trample creature at that point. A few other cards that I thought were pretty good in this deck, of course, is Nissa, who Shakes the World for that big ramp payoff for the Finale of Devastation, and Vivien, Monsters Advocate. This card's actually pretty strong. I want to build another deck around Vivien, Monsters Advocate in the form of Elf Ball, or in this version of Standard would be just a mana dork ball, meaning that what you usually need is you need a haste effect, which we have in Standard in the form of Samut. Then we need some sort of big payoff draw card in the form of this one, Vivien, Monsters Advocate. And you can actually utilize Vivien to go get something like if you have any other cards that draw cards when particular cards come into play. If we're looking like elves, like the Beast Whisperer seems like a pretty decent. I guess Beast Whisperer works for any. It doesn't even need to be on the elf tribal. It's whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card, and so you could go and tutor up. If you cast a 5-drop, go tutor up your Beast Whisperer. And it's actually pretty neat little interaction with that, as in you could probably go through most of your library at that point if you have a haste effect and the ability to look at the top card of your library and cast it as a creature spell, and then have enough mana you have to find some other creature I'm looking for to then untap all your creatures and then pump in a lot of mana into the Finale of Devastation and just win. So that's something on the chopping block that I need to grind down and actually get a video done. Pioneer, it looks pretty interesting too with Vivien, Monstrous Advocate. We do have other cards that are very similar to Vivien's Monstrous Advocate by being able to cast cards off the top of your library. However, I think this is one of the more powerful ones, as this is a pretty decent Planeswalker to be able to protect herself, as well as get a lot of value with that -2 and have that static ability. Again, here's another static ability printed on to a Planeswalker, and those always end up being undervalued at first, and then people realize just how strong having that static ability on a Planeswalker becomes. So it's just a one of them in this deck, and it really can put the work in. I'm not going to play this in a best of 3. This is a best of 1 deck. But the sideboard, some other cards that seemed interesting is this Grim Razor. With the Mutate 3, it ends up being a beast. Can destroy artifacts and enchantments. I think this is a pretty underrated card at the moment. We'll probably see more. And Huatli seems interesting too with Arboreal Grazers and Healer of the Glades and Leafkin Druids. But Huatli is kind of a weak card. In all honesty, it's not really what you want to be doing on like turn 3 or turn 4, is turning your creatures into beaters and then still have to figure out a way to protect them. I think you'd have to build an entirely different deck to make Huatli work. And then if one of the other cards I was thinking about is Mu Yanling Sky Dancer. So a couple of cards to consider for this deck. So nothing really to this. This is just a Finale Devastation deck, but it's put up some pretty decent numbers. I am not too concerned about my rating, so I've just been brewing decks in the Gold League, and this has been holding its own in the Gold League with at least a 50% win rate, and there are still a lot of tryhards in Gold. You'll see a ton of mono red, you'll see a lot of the Lurrus sacrifice decks, you'll see a lot of Jeskai Fires and Wilderness Reclamation, and so you still will see tier decks in Gold. So that's what I have for this particular deck. Let's go ahead and get to some games. Like I said, we're just going to be playing in the good old we'll do ranked. So let's do standard ranked, and we'll go ahead and play this deck. Alrighty. So match number 1. Let's see if we have a Keeble hand. So this is what you want to be seeing. This is a very good hand. We have Grazer into either Risen Reef or Parcelbeast, depending on what our opponent plays, which is going to be a strong payoff, and we're able to ramp into it. And so we're going to go Grazer, and then go into the Breeding Pool, and enters tapped. And then next turn, we'll have to decide if Risen Reef is the better payoff or the Parcelbeast. I'm leaning toward Parcelbeast. Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Parcelbeast is the better payoff here, because we do want to... Ooh, now that actually changes things, because I know the Parcelbeast can work with the Reef. So, yep, we're going to go Reef here. Yeah, I'm going to go Reef. And hopefully Reef does, because now we can just hardcast Parcelbeasts. So our opponent is the Flicker deck, so they're starting, just has to be larger, and they're just looking for a bunch of Flicker cards. So I'm assuming there's going to be Elspeth Conquers Death and those type of cards in the deck. Okay, so Grazer might not be the right thing here. We're just going to go probably Cavalier of Thorns, to be honest. Looks like the highest payoff. Yes. Okay, so we're going to go Cavalier. Put that island into play, put the forest into play, and we did mill our Brokkos, so that's pretty decent. I'm just going to cast the Grazer, might as well. And then I doubt my opponent will make a block here, but we won't attack. So what if my opponent is some sort of Elemental Tribal. I think they're just using the Risen Reef as just a kind of a cantrip card that then can get... I'm thinking Fibble-Tip is probably in the deck. Elspeth Conquers Death. I've seen some lists like this before. Hydroid Krasis for 2. So I think my opponent's desperate to hit that land drop. So maybe they needed to find that. I'm not sure with the Hydroid Krasis. Maybe they just need a blocker for the Cavalier. So, got a couple of options here. We can go the Kaheera, the Orphanguard. Parcelbeast can actually be Vigilanced on, or I could just go for a Brokkos on one of these cards. I think we're just going to go hard casting Parcelbeast, though, for as much value as possible. And there's another Risen Reef. We'll cast that one. Unfortunately, it came the opposite way. And hopefully this will find us some lands. We need to find a Finale of Devastation and a Nissa. There's the Final Devastation. There's a Hydroid Krasis. At this point, we can just attack in with the Cavalier. Fortunately, we didn't hit lands there. And my opponent will block with the Hydroid Krasis, sure. And now we're in pretty good shape. Like, I could actually use this Finale of Devastation just to find another Hydroid Krasis, or excuse me, another Risen Reef, just to get maximum value to really trying to ramp up. And at that point, we should find another Finale. So, opponent mills a bunch of non-Elspeth Conquers Death stuff. So they're looking to get Euro out here. This is where this deck does definitely shine. So Parcelbeast we could go for here. Again, I'm not against the idea of just going Finale of Devastation, finding our last Risen Reef, and really ramping. Our opponent could have like a board wipe, though. Just go ahead and activate the Parcelbeast. First off, cool. We get the forest out of the way. And I'm going to actually just hard cast a Parcelbeast because it gets more value with the rather than being thrown on a creature. Unfortunately, these come into play tapped if I get lands. There is another beast and a healer. So now we'll cast the healer. And maybe one of these beasts I'll just throw on. And there's a Finale of Devastation. Still can't seem to find... All right, that's going to be a better card to run. So even if our opponent does board wipe, we're still in good position. We have a lot of cards left in our hand. Finally, we get some... And, oh, I guess I could be putting these into play. Why is the thing? So it enters the battlefield. I'm thinking of Arboreal Grazer. So, yeah, no point to putting this into play any other way. So decline. It can come and play. Oh, wow. I played that wrong. I declined it. It still goes in your hand anyway. We hadn't played a land drop. All right, so no attacks here at all. Opponent would just block. And we do have enough mana. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We actually have enough mana next turn for just Finale of Devastation. So if opponent taps out here, we can just win with Finale. Gotta think a board wipe's coming, though. And I didn't find a Nissa in all of our first 29 cards. So I have Yoran's coming out right now to flicker. No, there's... My opponent gets to find a Nissa. Lame. So I'm thinking Euro is going to come down. And that's not going to be... If my opponent taps out, it's pretty much done. We've pretty much won here. You untap a blue source. Agent of Treachery. Don't care about Agent of Treachery. What are they going to take? A Cavalier? Should take the Leafkin Druid if my opponent was smart. Going to take a Parcelbeast. Okay. All right, so we win next turn. So, Let's see. So this adds 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. Yep. And so we do need to tap this Leafkin. Oh, none of these actually have trample, though. That's the problem with Finale of Devastation. And we have our Brokkos in the graveyard, unfortunately. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we're still okay. That's so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah. My opponent doesn't have enough blockers. Plus, we get one right here anyway. So we get something like a Cavalier, or in this case, just a Risen Reef. Because it would get all of these triggers. And there you have it. That's how this game usually works against other mid-range decks. It's just a Finale of Devastation deck to try to ramp it out. And we win that one. All right, let's go on to another. So, trying to think, I don't know. You could definitely go higher on the elemental low drop strategy for a deck like this. And even cut like Hydroid Krasis's. To get maximum value out of your companion. Not even cast the companion that time. Now, this is like a pretty bad hand. I think we mulligan it. We do have the ability to... I don't think we want double Parcelbeast here with double Hydroid Krasis. I think that you typically want a Risen Reef in your opening hand. There's a Risen Reef. We'll keep this 6. Finale can actually go on the bottom in this particular hand because we don't want it quite yet. Ugh, it is mono red. So, and there's a Finale anyway. And Breeding Pool is fine to keep on top. So Scorched Bitter's going to get in some damage. Hopefully we can actually get our Nissa out before... Oh, not a... I'm like, we're okay against regular mono red, but Cavalcade is going to be annoying if our opponent gets a Torbrand before we can do anything. So we'll go Leafkin. Possibly I could have made the choice to put that in play tap because we probably wouldn't end up using Leafkin here next turn. But if we draw in like a Grazer... Yeah, Spitfire is probably just going to beat us. I don't think I can beat Spitfire. It's going to do too much damage. So let's go for it, though. No reach. We have to go this way for Risen Reef. And hopefully ramp something out. And then the Temple's not going to do it. We're just so dead. Of course, put that on the bottom. But, so we're going to take the 2. Yeah, Spitfire's just going to kill me because we don't have any way to remove the Spitfire. So we need like a Cavalier earlier. And this is going to have haste. Oh, yeah, we're super, super, super dead. All right, so we lost that one to the Chandra Spitfire.
Too bad.
Typically, you don't see Cavalcade much because it's a pretty trashy deck. It's if you remove something like a Spitfire, then they have a tough time really coming back. It's just simply worse than going the Embercleave route, in my opinion. But it does have the ability to beat decks that don't interact with it, which isn't many decks, though. There's too many Teferis running around, too many Othakayas and stuff that I don't think I'd run the Spitfire route at the moment. All right, let's play another one. That was a pretty good hand, though, against a non... Like, if there wasn't a Spitfire there, we might have been able to... Ooh, this is very, very interesting. Because if we get... I'm going to keep it. Because if my whole reasoning for this is if we get one more land, Finale Devastation can just go get a Risen. And that's exactly what we want. Opponent's playing Lurrus, which is... not going to be that bad of a deck with Grazers in our hand. That's one of the reasons why I like Grazers, is if they have like priests or claims and things like that, they can't claim an Arboreal Grazer and get much advantage. It looks like it's actually the Ara's version. So, we're just going to go another Grazer. Or, yeah, we do want another Grazer to put out this other forest. And hopefully we draw into a land next turn. If we don't, we don't. We'll just take the damage, because if nothing else, we can cast a Orphanguard. But the problem is, like, disfigures, or not disfigures, deadweights, and... oh, boo. Wrong type of land. So, I'll actually put that on top. Yeah, we could go for another land. And we'll just cast our... pretty sure this is going to die next turn, though. The Orphanguard. But again, the only reason it's in our deck is just to have another card. Yep, knew that was happening. Probably shouldn't even give it a target. Opponent's got a pretty decent start going on. These type of decks like really want you to go creatureless right now. They're so bad against like the blue-eye controls and the Jeskai fires, but they're really good against these kind of mirror type decks. So we'll go Krasis for 4/4. And what we really need to do is we need to try to get some card advantage going. And it's going to be pretty tough, though, to get card advantage from... well, my opponent's doing a pacifism on my Hydroid Krasis. At this point, still, I don't think we need to block. We're okay on life. Now I'm getting a little bit worried here. So, Finale of Devastation is weird with, like, deadweights for grabbing exactly... I could go get a Cavalier, though. Is a Cavalier just... I think what we're going to do is we're just going to mutate onto a Grazer. I'm actually just going to activate it right now. And there's another Krasis. Okay. So Devastation for 2 is pointless. Hydroid Krasis might actually win us this game if we can keep chaining into them. The problem is now we have Lurrus coming down. And I'll make a block here, I think. I don't want to go much lower than 13. There's Lurrus. Lurrus is out. I can cast Deadweight on a Parcelbeast. Nope. I'm sure the Deadweight will still... surprising my opponent didn't cast it. I can put a Parcelbeast on this Hydroid, on this Hydroid Krasis, but Hydroid Krasis for 6 is just better here. Fills back up our hand, gives a big blocker. And we're still hitting the lands, which is good. But, yeah, it's just, like right now in Standard, I think you have to be running ways to interact with your opponent's creatures, because they can do some pretty silly stuff with Lurrus. And when Lurrus is like, I would say upwards of 40% of the meta. And then Deadweight on the Parcelbeast. I mean, yeah, gonna get a lot of... gets 2, so it gets per aura? Yep, for each. Yikes. I think my opponent's just going to continue to... Deadweight there, okay. Alright, so... how do we get the most value out of this Finale of Devastation? The problem is my opponent's just going to continue to get a ton of value off of killing my creatures, and I can't do anything for Lurrus. So we need to somehow get a lot of card advantage. So I think we're going to go Finale for 3. To get Risen. Ah, there was my Nissa. That's the card I needed. And then now we can get some value out of these Leafkins. Need a Grafdigger's Cage for the sideboard for these decks. At least we're ramping out some mana. My opponent can only cast one card, but the problem is, yeah, they're going to get so much card advantage off this Hateful Eidolon. And just be able to, yep. Be able just to continue to drop lands and draw cards per turn. But we're getting close to that second Finale of Devastation. Getting sort of lethal-ish. Opponent's going to kill just to get some lifelink damage in, huh? Guess that's pretty smart. Ugh, that is not what we wanted. Parcelbeast on like a Hydroid Krasis seems okay. I just did it there just because my opponent's not going to want to kill the pacified one. Maybe that was stupid. Alright, so let's go Cavalier. Because now if my opponent kills the Cavalier, we get back the Finale. And unfortunately, we mill another Finale and Vivien, which would be one of the better cards. Temple of Mystery. I need to find not a Leafkin. And I think we might as well just cast the Grazer. There's no point of keeping a Grazer back. And we have lands galore. So I will attack with this Hydroid Krasis. Gets back the Omen. So I need to find... Ooh, there's a Pridemate. Pridemate's going to get big. And the Mire's Grass can go on one of these Leafkin to even draw another card. I don't see myself winning this game. Yeah, taking 3, Pridemate goes up to a 3/3. They can cast the Grasp on one of the Leafkin Druids. So yeah, I probably shouldn't have put the Parcelbeast on the pacified. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't get killed. But if I would have put it on this Hydroid Krasis, it probably would have been big enough. Another bounty. Ooh, that was the worst card possible. I think we're pretty much gonna meet our end here unless we can get something in the next few turns. Nissa is okay. Gives us blockers. And we'll go in for 4. And see if our opponent can... Another Hateful Eidolon is awful for us. They're going to draw a ton of cards. So the Mire's Grass, yep, on the island. Womp womp. So basically next turn I have to draw Finale. And I don't even know if Finale is going to be lethal with the blockers. Because I don't have another trample card. Oh yeah, I can go get the trample card, but... Let's see where our opponent wants to kill Nissa. That could be the route that my opponent goes. So sack, and then come in at Nissa. Now I'm going to come in at me. Okay, so that gives us an opportunity for Finale off the top to just win. And that was not the Finale off the top. That was a breeding pool. Where's the rest of our Risens? There's a Risens, but he's too late. Because we're dead next turn to the Pridemate with the... Another Nissa. I mean, it gives us some more cards. And then we can get in there. I still think getting in with this Hydroid Krasis is probably smart. So, Finale, we need you. But the deadweight on the Risen Reef, they got to have more deadweights and things in hand. They're going to draw a ton of cards, have plenty of mana to really cast everything. So, Grass, though, on the island. Okay. Draw, draw. Six mana available. So all of our... I guess we still have another Hydroid Krasis we could have drawn into, too, with this tons of mana. Gonna go with the Hateful Eidolon. So not on the Pridemate, though, huh? And at this point, I think we just let it go through. The Omen. So my opponent could have just got lethal there. By... No, not quite. So I need the Risen Reef, hopefully, to survive, because that gives us more outs. Okay, awesome. So that gives us a lot more outs with the Risen. Because the Leafkin Druid now will draw us a card. Yep, that actually works. That works, because that's going to give us a lot of mana. So... do I want to go for a Final Devastation this turn, though? Or can we give my opponent one more turn? Because I could go Hydroid Krasis. No, I think we just do a massive Hydroid Krasis. Just to hit those odds. Because there's 21 right there. And then 22, 23. Well, we can just do it for 7. No, I think I go for a big Hydroid Krasis. And then the next turn... well, we'll keep back some of this. So 18's probably good. Because we know what we need. That'll get us up to 13. And we still didn't hit it. Lame. That was way lame. Okay, so we can go... this is going island. And I guess we can go... I'm not even going to run that out. I don't think I'm going to run anything else out. We'll just run the Arboreal Grazer. And then throw in another breeding pool. And then just pass. Or do I want to put this... yeah, we'll put this guy out with the Parcelbeast. Still didn't find the finale, the last finales. Yep, we'll get anywhere with just this guy. So I'm not out of the clear yet with that Hydroid Krasis still. I mean, getting closer though with the Hydroid Krasis on Brokkos. Opponent gets to Omen of the Dead. I activated Nissa, right? I can't even remember. My timeouts were running out like crazy there. I couldn't even figure out what I was doing. We can still activate this Parcelbeast, too, at the end of turn. All the glitters will do it, correct? If my opponent can kill both the islands. And opponent can kill one of them. So I can't believe we lost all the glitters. That was a card we lose to. Because they can still cast this Mire's Grass from the graveyard, correct? Is that what... Pacifism on that instead of my forest. Gives me another turn. So pass the blockers, block here. And then activate. Come on, Finale. Take the action for the Temple of Mystery to see maybe if we can get... Oh, there we go. There's the Finale. So my opponent messed up and didn't see that last forest that was activated. Or maybe assumed it was green. I think my opponent assumed it was green. So we should have lost this game. However, we need to put anything still fly. So this needs to mutate. There. And then we need to tap for 10. We can tap for everything here. Except for the creatures. And now Finale of Devastation for 21. And at this point, we'll just get you back. And that should be lethal. Cannot believe we actually drew our way out of this. Opponent doesn't even have enough blockers to begin with. And see how much damage this is. Opponent's going to let us see. Our opponent goes down to negative 241 with that Finale of Devastation. Alrighty, looking pretty good. Let's play another one here. Wondering if running something like Neoform in this deck to find the Risen, it would be the way to go. Because I'm thinking finding the Risen Reefs is key to this particular deck. But Neoform just does +1. Is that what Neoform does? A converted mana cost of 1 more? This is definitely a mulligan. I'd keep it as a blue source. This one's pretty terrible, but we can throw one of the Krasises back. Ooh, yeah, that's fine. Because we at least want a Krasis for 2, making it 1. All right, so Temple of Mystery. Don't want the island. So I guess I could have scried away a land. At the bottom, it had 2 Hydroid Krasises, but it's better safe than sorry for going the 4 lands. Temple of Epiphany. Uh-oh. I think we're finally going to get Jeskai fired. Or Fire's Invention, yeah. Here's probably still better just to get out the Orphan. And get it for 1. Take that. Get poked. And then next turn we have the Hydroid Krasis. But, I mean, we're probably just dead to Deafening Clarion. If we are going up against the Deafening Clarion deck. Could be Phoenix. Nope, it's... Ooh, Charming Prince. This could still be Fires of Invention. The companion doesn't have the companion card that flickers. So here, Leafkin Druid could go for a bigger creature the following turn. I don't think so. I think we're just going to go a Desperation Hydroid Krasis. Yikes. And then no attackers, and I think this is where we get Clarioned out. Because I still do think this is going to be a Fires Invention deck. With Charming Prince is pretty decent with Fires. As well, most Fires have the other companion card. So the one that converted mana cost 3 or greater. Alright, so let's get in here with an attack first. With the Krasis. My opponent was targeting the Kaheera to see if they wanted to. So where do I want Parcelbeast to go? I think over top of the Grazer is fine. I don't know. Going over the top of the... the Kaheera Orphanguard is actually okay. We'll put over the Grazer. Could have put on the Krasis too, but it's safer just put on the Grazer. Because if they kill the Grazer in response, we at least just get the Parcelbeast out. And I'm thinking we're going to keep the Leafkin Druid in our hand in case we draw a Risen Reef, because it gives us ways to draw cards. That's typically what I like to do with both the Leafkin Druid and the Healer. And we'll just activate it right now. Go ahead and throw this Grazer out. Might as well. Now, unfortunately, we have the Hydroid Krasis on the bottom there. We'd love a Hydroid Krasis now with the flood that is occurring. Throw the Overgrown Tomb into play. Come on, Shaggy. No need for the roping. And we can actually just throw in the island as well. Okay, I know what we're going up against. We're going up against Winota, and we're probably dead to Winota. They always have the Raising Alarm Winota, and here comes the Agents of Treachery. Womp womp. There's the first one. And there's the second one. Whoop-de-doop-de-doop-de. Oh, what a cheese deck. This whole set is so cheesy. So much cheese. 2 7-mana creatures out on turn 4. Oh, play design. Play design, play design. I want to know how they've kept their jobs for this long. How many sets in a row have they missed Okos and now with companions just being... Companions needed more restrictions to them. They are so busted at the moment in every format. We'll throw the Finale of Devastation. This will be the last game I'm going to play. Kind of a weird hand. Oh, this is Jeskai Fires too. I should have even looked at what we're playing against before I kept this hand, because I think this hand just folds to Jeskai Fires. We can go Healer and then have a target for Healer. I think that's actually better. That's yeah, that's probably the safer route. You can make the argument for the Risen Reef and then play the Risen Reef and then it gets wiped. But this way, we can mutate. And this is the only matchup I do this because it's probably going to end up being a Deafening Clarion that comes out. And we are drawing the basic islands like crazy. We need green cards here. See if Teferi comes down and ruins my day here, though. No Teferi. Another Parcelbeast. So here we can go Risen Reef. That's fine. But Jeskai Fires is coming. Yeah. Take action. At least we ramped up pretty good. We have a bunch of lands out. But, I mean, Jeskai Fires is just a tough matchup. Really, really tough matchup. Another cheese card that should have never gone out of design. Design should have... They should have kiboshed that before it even got put down. But nope. I know, I do sound salty, but I think that Standard would be a lot more versatile without some of these cards that just manipulate the converted mana costs of things. Like Wilderness Reclamation and Jeskai Fires is my definition of cards that should have never been created. Just because they just exploit the way that Magic, and it doesn't take long for people, you know, to break those. Jeskai Fires was broken week 1, and same with Wilderness Reclamation when people figured out the right cards to run. So it looks like my opponent might have missed a land drop, and now they're ticked off that they missed the land drop, so they're going to rope their way down. Nope, there's Narset. Narset does not work against either Risen Reef or Parcelbeast, which is good. Shatter the Skies, huh? So I could go for some big plays here and draw some cards off the reefs. Do I care about killing Narset? Is the question. Cavalier could give my beast back. And we don't even know if my opponent's going to draw the land for Narset. So I think in this case it is kill Narset. And just Cavalier here. Because that gives us a card in case my opponent does board wipe. And then it allows us to put a Risen Reef back up. So ramping again. There's a Nissa and a Brokkos. That's pretty good. And you know what? I think another Risen Reef is fine here. So Shadow of the Sky will happen, but we're getting plenty of value. We just need to find that finale. We're getting close to the finale for 12. Got really lucky my opponent did miss land drops. So Teferi doesn't save my opponent. Shadow of the Sky, of course, would be pretty good. There is Teferi. Teferi, I think just throwing back the Cavalier is where I would go. And there is the other land. So, I mean, Shatter's coming down. That's a given. I think we keep everything up. So we're just going to recast Cavalier. That seems like the right play because it gives us the most ramp ability. So there's a Nissa. There's Finale. There is a... Do we even need to cast it? Yes, because it gives us an activation. So we'll go Overgrown Tomb, pay 2 life. And then, I guess we didn't need to pay 2 life there. Then we'll go Nissa. Which... we can activate the Parcelbeast. Geez, get another land. And then plus. And then I think I'm just going to hard cast another Parcelbeast. Just to get some more lands off of these Risens. Or whatever off of them. And then we kill Teferi and then go 1 to the face. And then this forces the issue of the finale happening. Unfortunately, we have... Our finale coming... We have a finale in hand, so... What do we get back? So my opponent's going to shatter here. Probably going to go fires and shatter. But I have lethal next turn. Because I'll have 2 creatures that will have haste. Opponent has to go fires. Or shatter. Elspeth is definitely... Oh, on Nissa. I see what opponent did. So that would blow out. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The whole point is I don't need to do anything. I just need to go Finale of Devastation for 10. And then it doesn't matter what we get here. Just a Leafkin Druid is fine. And there'd be another finale. And we just swing in for lethal. And again, opponent takes a lot of damage. So ideally, that's how our elemental deck... Well, opponent missed double land drop there. So any fires deck that does that is going to end up losing. But you saw the way that this kind of ramps out when you do get the right draws. That is a fun little deck. Again, I don't know if it's justifiably the right move to be running the companion card over just putting Agent of Treacheries in the sideboard or in the main. And then that way you can ramp just to agents. That's definitely... and then still have Endrays that you can go grab with your finales. That probably is the better route. And then you, like, I would assume cut like the healers. But that sort of deck has existed before, this elemental ramp. I don't think that Parcelbeast necessarily gives that the edge. Possibly it does, though. Maybe the Parcelbeast is like a card that is worthwhile to throw in the mix and then just put it back in Thassa and Agent. And then this is a shell that's existed before. But it was interesting to try to figure out a good shell for like the elemental tribal. I don't think anyone's really used it with that companion with elementals at the point. We didn't really get to see it do a lot of work though, but I've had some Arboreal Grazer draws where then that came out and they actually can start attacking in for pretty decent. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Let me know in the comment section what you would do to update this deck. The other deck that I did have that I'll have to showcase is the other version with elementals with Kaheera, the Orphanguard. And this one is actually utilizing more of the Omnath route. So Omnath in this deck, of course, is going to work off of your elementals. And then you can go more low to the ground stuff like Creeping Trailblazer. And you'll have like the Arboreal Grazer. So the things that come out like the healer on turn number 1, you still have the Parcelbeast and the healer of the Glade, and then Creeping Trailblazer too. They can come out, and then your elementals can get pretty big pretty quickly. Still messing around with this though. This was trying to run like the Apex of Wishes as a possible mutate card. I think that the right route to go with Apex of Wishes is to go all in on mutate. So you'd want to go in on the Octopus, and then you wouldn't want to be going to Kaheera, and then it would be the Parcelbeast and the Octopus, and not maybe Risen Reefs in this type of strategy to then mutate onto the Arboreal Grazer, and then eventually get the mutate of the Apex of Wishes that hopefully can then mutate multiple times. So you mutate it for 2 mana, basically, is the top card of your library, then gets to be put onto the battlefield, which can get pretty interesting with some of the bigger cards. Yark the Desecrated also was an interesting one in this Omnath build. Again, I don't quite think I have this particular list right, as you probably want like some Finale of Devastation again in this particular deck to go up and get the one-ofs. Especially getting like a Yara could be pretty interesting with Risen Reef. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this deck evolves, how this Elemental Tribal evolves. I think it's worthwhile to mess around with. I've enjoyed it. It's pretty fun with Finale of Devastation. I kind of like these like Elf Ball type strategies, or just to, go wide and get a big finisher out. Possibly you wouldn't even need to go Finale of Devastation and just go the Garrick card, the one that what's the one that just gives +3/+3 in the deck? What's the instant? Oh, man. Rise, isn't it? Rise is something? Let's see, +3. Return to the Wild Speaker. There we go. They're just giving all your creatures +3/+3 at that rate might be enough for just 5 mana rather than going clear on Finale. And drawing cards equal to the greatest non-human might be okay too in that particular deck when you have like a Hydroid Krasis that's already out that's pretty big. Also, instant speed is something that's really good with this. As they don't block with stuff or double block on something, leave a lot of the Arboreal Grazers unblocked, and that you can get in for lethal. So that's another card that I definitely could try in the mix. Speaking of which, with this Elemental Tribal, this is definitely a card that I wanted to make work with Risen Reef with a Perveros's Intervention. That seems pretty decent for creating a ton of elementals that I don't think anyone's really tried with. It's got the double synergy of having a ton of mana to dump into. So this version I think would probably want more Nissas and cut out kind of the less clean cards in here and go more of the ramp type strategy. But that's another day, another brew for another day. Definitely we're going to try to do all of our top 10 lists that I showcased before. Were any of these even on the top 10? I don't think they were. Oh, yes. This would be my Arboreal Grazer #1 card for the Parcelbeast combination from my top 10 list. And we'll go through, and maybe we'll take a look back at some of my old top 10 cards. The enchantment guys, the guy that brings back the Aura seems pretty interesting with the shell of the... Where'd it go? Where'd the Aura guy go? Oh, I've got these companion restrictions up here. So the Storm Herald with the new +20/+20 enchantment and fling seems like a pretty fun little combo that we're gonna have to try out. So a lot of things that are on the building blocks here. Unfortunately, standard still seems to be pretty degenerate, with Lurrus now being another degenerate card that is really warping standard, as well as Fire's Invention, Wilderness Reclamation that still exists, Emberclave that still exists, Teferi. All those cards I think the standard could do without ever existing, and would have a more wide open fun standard. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.